Cave diving, a form of technical diving, involves exploration of underwater caves, caverns, and other submerged geological formations. The beauty of cave diving lies in unique and awe-inspiring vistas that are inaccessible to most people. The tranquil and otherworldly environment of underwater caves, characterized by the clear, still waters and the play of light, creates an ambiance that is both serene and mesmerizing. But while cave diving can be an exhilarating and rewarding experience, it is also one of the most dangerous and challenging forms of diving. The inherent risks associated with cave diving make it imperative that divers have the necessary training, equipment, and experience to ensure their safety. Stay tuned as we are going to show you 5 horrible stories that took place in the deep dark of the caves, which certainly are going to shake you. Let's start then. So, as we are saying, the cave's natural formations, including stalactites and stalagmites, add to the breathtaking visuals and provide a glimpse into the geological history of the Earth. The challenge of navigating through the narrow passages, often in complete darkness, while maintaining buoyancy and air supply, further adds to the thrill of the experience. However, cave diving is an extremely technical and risky activity that requires specialized training, equipment, and experience. Despite its risks, the unique beauty and sense of adventure associated with cave diving continue to attract enthusiasts from around the world. And the dangers associated with cave diving are numerous and can range from equipment failure to entanglement, silt-outs, and disorientation. Visibility in underwater caves can be extremely poor, and divers may find themselves in complete darkness. This can lead to disorientation, as well as the risk of becoming entangled in lines or cave debris. Additionally, the tight spaces and narrow passages found in caves can be challenging to navigate, and divers must have a thorough understanding of the cave environment and their own limitations in order to avoid becoming stuck or lost. Perhaps the greatest risk associated with cave diving is the potential for equipment failure. This can include anything from a regulator malfunction to a blown O-ring, and can be exacerbated by the hostile underwater environment found in caves. Divers must be prepared to handle equipment failures quickly and efficiently, as a single malfunction can quickly escalate into a life-threatening situation. Despite these dangers, cave diving can be a rewarding and exhilarating experience for those with the necessary training and experience. However, it is critical that divers undergo comprehensive training and follow strict safety protocols in order to minimize the risks associated with this challenging form of diving. This includes proper equipment maintenance, thorough pre-dive planning, and the use of safety lines and redundant air supplies. And here we are about to begin the 5 most unfortunate incidents that happened during cave diving. Number 5. The story of Sterkfontein Caves. This accident describes the actions of Peter Verlhussel, a daring individual who took significant risks in his pursuit of adventure. In 1984, Verlhussel and his companions went on a cave diving expedition in South Africa's Sterkfontein Caves. Despite being advised to follow a specific route and adhere to safety protocols, Verlhussel's curiosity led him to deviate from the planned path multiple times. Unfortunately, this recklessness led him to becoming separated from his companions, and he found himself lost in a labyrinthine network of underwater tunnels. As he explored the tunnels, Verlhussel quickly realized the severity of his situation. He was running low on oxygen and had no idea how to escape. However, by chance, he stumbled upon a tiny island located at the end of a tunnel. Using his remaining strength, Verlhussel ascended to the surface after emerging from the sea. Despite having survived drowning, his lack of oxygen and fatigue made it impossible for him to leave the cave. In a state of desperation, Peter waited for help that never arrived, and eventually succumbed to sleep due to exhaustion. However, his fate was ultimately sealed as he remained trapped in the cave without any provisions. His remains were found 6 weeks later, reduced to a malnourished skeletal state. It also portrays a sense of isolation and helplessness that Peter experienced, which eventually led to his tragic demise. Furthermore, the accident highlights the importance of timely intervention in situations of distress. Peter's prolonged isolation and lack of assistance ultimately led to his death, underscoring the need for prompt and efficient rescue efforts. The final message that Peter left for his loved ones also adds a poignant note, emphasizing the emotional toll of such tragedies on the families and friends of those affected. Moreover, This is a poignant reminder of the fragility of human life and the importance of timely intervention in situations of distress. Ultimately, it serves as a powerful testament to the importance of human compassion and intervention in times of need. Number 4. The story of Nutty Putty Caves. The tragic event that occurred in 2010 involving Ryan Schertz and John Jones is an example of the risks and dangers associated with cave exploration. The incident took place in Utah's Nutty Putty Cave, where John had inadvertently gotten himself stuck headfirst and upside down in a small cave. Ryan and his colleagues worked tirelessly for 19 hours, attempting various strategies to extricate John from the cave. Throughout the rescue efforts, Ryan remained by John's side, providing comfort and support while his team constructed a pulley system. John, in his state of distress, expressed remorse for his weight and the additional challenges it created for his rescuers. Once the pulley system was in place, preparations were made to pull John to safety, and Ryan vowed to be John's training partner once they were both out of the cave. This incident highlights the risks and complexities associated with cave rescue operations. It also underscores the importance of proper training, equipment, and teamwork in such situations. The dedication and perseverance displayed by Ryan and his team are a testament to the bravery and selflessness of those who work in rescue and emergency services. The incident also serves as a reminder of the need for caution and awareness when exploring natural environments, particularly those with potential hazards such as caves. This incident is a narrative of a cave exploration gone wrong, with a focus on the events surrounding the protagonist, Ryan, and his team's attempts to rescue a fellow caver, John. First, John becomes stuck and requires assistance to be pulled up. Ryan helps him through it, indicating teamwork and mutual support. But the situation deteriorates when the rope and arch break. This highlights the fragility of cave structures and the potential for unexpected events. Ryan is injured by a carabiner, which underscores the need for proper equipment use and safety protocols. Ryan is traumatized by the death of John, and his father steps in to take control. His line, "Never again would he awaken," show the sense of finality and loss, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. Moreover, this horrible story presents a dramatic account of a cave exploration that goes awry, highlighting the technical challenges, safety risks, and emotional toll of such endeavors. Number 3. The story of New Zealand Cave Creek. The quiet serenity of Paparoa National Park was shattered on that fateful day in April 1995, as the tranquil beauty of the park was marred by a tragic incident that will forever be etched in the annals of New Zealand's history. The viewing platform, perched atop a picturesque vista, proved to be an ill-fated structure, one that would soon crumble and plunge 14 souls into the dark abyss below. The impact of the collapse was devastating, with the victims hurtling down a treacherous 40-meter drop, their bodies crashing against jagged rocks. The tragedy cut deep, with 13 of the deceased being Tai Putini Polytechnic students. In 1995, a group of 17 students traveled to Cave Creek, a popular tourist destination in New Zealand. Despite being on a guided tour and sticking to a well-established route, they were unaware of the risks they were taking. Upon reaching a platform overlooking a chasm, some of the students noticed the platform's flimsy construction and playfully jumped and shook it. They believed it was all in good fun and the platform was safer than it appeared, given the modern safety standards of the time. Unfortunately, they were mistaken. The platform was not as sturdy as they thought, and it collapsed, leading to a tragic accident that claimed the lives of several students. This incident serves as a reminder that even seemingly minor actions can have serious consequences and highlights the importance of adhering to safety standards and exercising caution in potentially hazardous situations. In a moment of misguided confidence, men with no engineering background had attempted to erect a platform. Instead of using the necessary bolts, they carelessly employed nails due to a lack of proper equipment. Tragically, this resulted in a catastrophic collapse when the platform was unable to withstand the weight of the children. The structure tumbled to the ground, hurling several helpless students into the abyss below. The lucky few who clung onto the railing managed to miraculously ride the falling debris down and emerge alive from the disaster. The stark contrast between the fate of the majority and the survival of only a handful of students was a chilling reminder of the preciousness of life. Helicopters were quickly dispatched to rescue the survivors, who were left traumatized and physically injured by the harrowing experience. The painful realization that they had lost so many of their friends and classmates left them with a profound sense of grief and loss. Despite the injuries sustained, one survivor considered herself among the fortunate ones. In the midst of overwhelming tragedy, she was grateful to be alive and to have escaped the same fate as so many others. The resilience and courage demonstrated by these young individuals in the face of such a devastating event is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. The disaster stirred up a storm of criticism, as questions were raised about the government's neglect of funding and the mismanagement of the country's conservative estate. The echoes of dissent grew louder, reverberating across the nation and demanding action. Furthermore, it was the release of the Commission of Inquiry's report that proved to be the turning point, as the public was finally given a glimpse into the systemic failings that had led to the platform's construction. The fallout from the tragedy was far-reaching, and it ultimately resulted in the resignation of New England's Minister of Conservation, Dennis Marshall. As the country grappled with the enormity of the loss, the New Zealand Department of Conservation underwent a seismic shift in its operating practices. The lesson learned from the Cave Creek disaster was clear. The price of complacency was too high, and the cost of ignorance was too steep. It was a tragedy that would never be forgotten, a somber reminder of the price we pay when we take our natural wonders for granted. In the wake of a shift in political leadership, the legal framework in New Zealand underwent significant revisions which culminated in an amendment that enabled governmental entities to be subject to criminal prosecution for substandard construction practices. Before this development, only non-governmental organizations could be held liable for such offenses. This legislative alteration is indicative of a growing recognition that state actors should be held to the same legal standards as their private counterparts when it comes to building practices. The change also highlights the imperative for heightened accountability measures in the construction sector, particularly in the interest of public safety. Consequently, this legislative reform is expected to have far-reaching implications for the construction industry, including, but not limited to, enhancing the quality of workmanship, encouraging greater regulatory compliance, and promoting transparency in the public sector. Number 2. The story of Croatia Cave. In 2002, the body of MK was discovered in a Croatian underwater cave at a depth of 54 meters, 177 feet, by divers. The deceased was found alone, with his diving mask removed and a 30-centimeter knife buried nearby. Initially, the police investigated the incident as a murder, suspecting that one of the individuals with whom MK had gone cave diving had stabbed him and thrown his body overboard. However, forensic analysis revealed a more unsettling truth. MK's death resulted from oxygen depletion caused by his getting lost in the cave's intricate network of passages. As a consequence of running out of air, he began to drown. The discovery of MK's remains in the underwater cave underscores the dangers associated with cave diving, particularly the risk of getting lost in the labyrinthine passages and running out of air. Such incidents emphasize the importance of safety protocols, thorough planning, and adequate training for divers engaging in this perilous activity. The aforementioned incident describes a situation wherein an individual made an attempt to save himself from an impending death. However, his efforts were in vain as their air bubble he attempted to breathe in did not provide him with enough air to sustain life. He was cognizant of the fact that he was about to die a terrible and agonizing death, and the prospect of drowning was too excruciating to endure. In a last-ditch effort to alleviate his pain, the individual resorted to using his own knife to stab himself in the chest. The individual's actions can be attributed to the intense fear and panic that accompanies the realization of the inevitability of death. The experience of facing death can be both harrowing and overwhelming, and the individual's decision to take matters into his own hands is a testament to the immense psychological stress that he was subjected to. And with such tragedies, we have come to the last unfortunate incident. Number 1. The story of Crystal Cave. Floyd Collins, a native of Kentucky, discovered Crystal Cave in 1917 and embarked on a comprehensive investigation of the cave. For 8 years, Collins navigated the cave's narrow tunnels until a fateful day when he found himself stranded. Collins was attempting to exit the cave before his lantern was extinguished as it had started to flicker. In the process, he inadvertently dislodged a 12-kilogram rock, which tumbled down and pinned his ankle, resulting in gruesome impalement. Despite the tireless efforts of numerous rescue teams over the next 17 days, no attempt proved successful in freeing Collins from his predicament. The rescue teams ultimately employed miners to drill a shaft to reach Collins, as they believed this was their only viable option. While he awaited rescue, Collins was rapidly gaining notoriety. After days of confinement in the cave, Mr. Collins succumbed to a lethal combination of dehydration, starvation, and hypothermia. His untimely death serves as a poignant reminder of the inherent dangers associated with mining and the importance of adhering to strict safety protocols. The tragic incident also highlights the imperative need for advanced rescue technology and efficient rescue operations in hazardous environments. The entrapment and subsequent death of Mr. Collins in a mining shaft was a matter of public interest and had attracted visitors from all corners of the world. Opportunistic swindlers had seized the moment and had set up stalls to cater to the influx of tourists, offering them sustenance and souvenirs. With just a single kerosene candle, Floyd initially entered Sand Cave on January 30, 1925, and quickly discovered it presented several difficulties. He was forced to squeeze through narrow corridors, at one point so narrow that he had to do it on his stomach while pushing his lantern with one arm and holding it out at his side with the other. The cave started to open up beyond this crawl, but at that moment, his lantern started to flicker. Floyd unwillingly started his return trip because he was aware of the dangers of losing light in a cave. His foot kicked a 27-pound rock as he crawled back through the narrow space, trapping his ankle in the gap. Despite his best efforts, he was unable to extract his foot from his awkward position. He was restrained by a straight-jawed stone. Floyd's terrifying story at Sand Cave began in this way. Rescue attempts gradually increased after it was learned that Floyd was trapped in the cave. They enlisted the help of engineers, geologists, and cavers from all around the region and state. Miners started excavating a shaft to get to him after more traditional methods failed. Rescuers searched all day and all night for a way to free Floyd from Sand Cave and put in a lot of effort. Rainy and chilly spells, cave collapses, and contentions among the commanders over the best course of action were all faced by the workers. Talking about the person's personal life, Lee Collins and Martha Jane Burnett were the proud parents of William Floyd Collins, popularly known as Floyd Collins, who was born on June 20th, 1887 in Logan County, Kentucky. From an early age, Collins developed an ardent interest in exploring caves, and his passion led to the discovery of Crystal Cave in 1917 while he was working on his father's farm. Floyd transformed the cave into a prominent tourist attraction that featured extraordinary gypsum and hellicite cave formations. During Collins' era, cave tourism was a thriving and intensely competitive industry. The time came to be known as the Cave Wars because of the bitter and hostile relationships among rival cave proprietors. These competitors, driven by the desire for economic gain, engaged in cutthroat practices that ranged from destroying rival caves to stealing tourists from competitors and many other unethical activities. And that brings us to the end of the video. We hope that you found our videos informative and thought-provoking. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update from us. And remember, disasters can happen to anyone, but by coming together and sharing knowledge, we can build a safer and more resilient future. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.